Hi everybody, Dr. Reynolds here. I'm going to talk with you a little bit about how things are progressing here at the clinic. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about some issues that I think will be good for especially parents to be aware of. But let me start with where we're at a clinic. We are still preparing to open at the end of this month, the last week of this month after Memorial Day. We're carefully watching and monitoring what's going on in other parts of the country that are opening up sooner than we are here in Connecticut. If things continue to go fairly well and predictably, then our plans will be to go forward with opening the clinic slowly and carefully, as I've talked about in the past. So Jessica will be contacting you to talk about scheduling for whatever services that you're needing, whether it's neurofeedback, quantitative EEG, therapy, counseling, parent coaching. She'll be talking with you about all of that, and especially whether there is going to be any need for PPTs, because the school year is winding down, and in preparation for next year, some schools are scheduling PPTs at the end of this month and the early part of June. So again, if that's your situation, please be in contact with your child's school and find out what their plans are. Okay, now, as far as what some of my concerns are lately, let me share them with you. Last time I spoke with you about anxiety and how prevalent anxiety is and how important it is to try to manage our anxieties by keeping things in perspective and not overestimating and ruminating excessively about things that are beyond our control. And as I mentioned last time, we often spend much of our time worrying about things that never materialize, or if they do, don't materialize in the forms that we were thinking it would. Today I want to talk with you about another aspect, though, about anxiety. It especially happens during uncertain times like this. We all have a lot of free time on our hands these days, and sometimes we have a tendency to revert back to habits or establish habits that are not necessarily healthy. Last week I spoke with you about healthy habits to develop and how important it is to use the time that we do have now to consider developing healthy habits like, as I said myself, playing guitar, but learning a foreign language, putting our time to good use, learning a new skill. And if you can do that once a day for 10, 15, 20 minutes, you begin to establish a habit after about 30 days. Now, those are healthy habits and things I strongly encourage you to consider. However, what I'm beginning to see and what I'm beginning to hear more and more about is the development of what we might consider unhealthy habits, in the extreme form, addictions. And those addictions, or those unhealthy habits, can take many forms. I just heard recently a statistic that was quite frightening, that alcohol sales are up 1,500% prior to the virus. Tells me that there's a lot of alcohol being consumed, and if that's a person's way of dealing with anxiety, that's something that can easily get out of hand. But there are other forms of addiction that may not appear that way, or unhealthy forms of adaptation which may not occur to a person, but nevertheless you should be aware of. Food is a big one. Perhaps you've noticed that you're gaining a little weight, and it may be because you're eating out of anxiety or to calm your nerves or to steady yourself. If that's the case, I encourage you to take a look at your food consumption, particularly the types of foods that you're eating and the quality of the foods that you're eating. There are also other addictions. And if you have any little children listening to this right now, I ask you to turn them away for a moment. But I do hear a fair amount of people using online pornography excessively as a way to manage their anxieties. Not especially healthy way, particularly when it comes to the importance of relating to somebody in a more genuine fashion. So again, these are things that we just need to be aware of and alert to. Now, there are other addictions which could be healthy in moderation, which sometimes can get overused. Exercise is a good one. Exercise in moderation is a healthy habit to develop. But if we're exercising 2, 3, 4 hours a day as a way to manage our anxiety, that also can be unhealthy. So I encourage you to take a look at your patterns, your lifestyle. especially now when there isn't a lot of structure. Sometimes when we're going to work on a regular basis and we have structure, it does bind our anxieties to some extent. When we have to develop schedules and structures on our own, it can be very anxiety provoking. So again, just please look at your own lifestyle as well as that of your significant others. Remember, you're the one who sets the pattern for your children, and your children are absorbing everything that's going on, especially now when you're home so frequently. So much time is spent together with your children. They don't miss these things. So again, please be mindful of these things and try to keep them in check as best you can. And please consider developing healthy habits during this time to replace any unhealthy habits or to feel as though you're moving your life forward where oftentimes you might feel stuck. So again, these are just tips that I'm learning along the way, that I'm hearing from patients, that I'm picking up in various media. But I encourage you to really take a serious look at this. And besides which, when we do return back to normal, whatever that might be, if you have unhealthy habits, it's going to make it that much more difficult for you to transition into a healthy and productive lifestyle. So again, please be mindful of this, not just for yourselves, but for your children as well. We miss you very much here at the clinic. We're excited to have you coming back. We're got our fingers crossed that everything is going to happen as we predict. But in the meantime, if anybody has any questions, if you have anything you want to run by me, please feel free to contact my office. We'll be quick to respond. God bless. Bye for now.